All right, so here is a report on the day, I guess, from my Victoria Day weekend. Happy Victoria Day to everybody. I was riding my bike home from work this morning. I had a couple clients. I stopped by one of the streets in the area, started chatting to a gentleman who lives in the city of Toronto, is an engineer, and is on like diversity boards and things of that nature, working for the city of Toronto. Consults with the ward councillor for the area in Toronto where he's an engineer working on a project. And when we started to talk, he didn't know very much about this area, about our city, and our counselors and things of that nature. So it really did speak to the fact that between him and his partner who teaches in another city, how they go out, they know more about the area that they work in than the area that they live in, and there's not that level of connection. There's a connection with their immediate neighbors to the right and left, but they don't know what's happening on their street, in the community, and all those things. So when I say support, amplify, and connect, that's what I'm talking about. That connect piece is a difference between understanding who's on your street, what's happening in your area, other than a sign on the street, which are helpful, but it'd be great to know the background, the history of something behind it. So we chatted, and he liked the fact that I have a history in this area, having gone to the schools. I have a pulse on what's happened, even when it comes to issues like racism in the schools and that experience. Being who I am, living in this area, and my experiences with my son, and with others that I know of and their stories, it's different thing when you have to get ready, wear a suit to go to the school, have a conversation to tackle the racism that you're experiencing, and then go back to wearing your workout attire because that's what you do, because you don't want to be perceived as that angry black man walking to the school. It's not true. I don't necessarily have to do that, but sometimes you feel like that's the only way you're going to be heard. So I understand that, and we talked about just that experience in the schools and how we've done our parts to tackle those biases and those prejudices that we experience. And he does it in his work with the city of Toronto, as I do, being part of the Mayor's Black Caucus here, and some of the things that we're doing for the city of Mississauga. So he was really excited to hear that there is someone local, lived here, raised here, served here, that is going for city council and can speak to the issues and connect people and do all those things that help people to, take away their fears about cars being stolen, those thefts. All those things happen when you're connected with your neighbors in a greater way. There's people who have eyes on your house. Someone can't stand up front and scope out your area for a long time and recognize your patterns because your neighbor's coming to check your mail, or someone's coming to make sure your door's locked, or your car's locked, or going in your house to water your plants. There's more visibility because there's more connection and less likelihood of being perceived as a target. Those are the topics with Adrian. So that was a great chat. Then when I went to Buca Maranga, thank you, Nitin, for the correction. Bucaranga, I was hanging out with the lady next to me. Yota was her name, and she has lived in this area. Her son went to the dam when I was working there. So she didn't know the end of the story about one of the kids who got in a lot of trouble, that her son was hanging out with. Fortunately, her son didn't get tied up and mixed up in that too much. But unfortunately for my friend, he did. And so she wanted to find out what happened with my buddy Carl. If you want to check out Carl's Convenience in Oakville, I'll put a link in the bio. He's a good friend of mine. So proud of him turning his life around after making some bad decisions when he was in his late teens, the days when I was working at the dam. So this is a catch-up conversation with a parent of one of the kids from the dam back in the day. Also excited to know that someone who's living in the area, who's been here, has a pulse on this area, is putting their name in the hat for city council. Lots more to do, lots more people to connect with, but those who here recognize that parachuting in doesn't make a difference. Going for this job and then the next job isn't what's going to make a difference. We need civic engagement from people who live in the city. It's one thing to complain, it's another thing to get out there and do it. So I thank you to everyone who has been cheering me on through this process, because the reality is that if all of you weren't telling me, just give me those words of affirmation at points, it might have been easier to bail on this before it got to this point. It's in me. I'm passionate about this area. I totally want it. But I also know that it's a long road, and without all of you, it's in vain. It really is in vain. So thank you to my new friends who are excited to see what's going to be happening. And we spoke about inclusionary housing and zoning and how we make this area affordable. Like, it's not the same 20 years ago spot where I was buying my house. This is ridiculous, the house prices in this area. How do we get people to move from being renters to owners in this area? So there's some strategies and some things that I'm advocating for, if done right, can really make a difference and change some families' lives in this area. So let's get after that. The last person I want to give a shout out to will be Nitin, who has a renovation company, Sierra Renovations. I'll put the link in the bio as well if I can find it. And he, good dude. If you're looking at getting your deck done, he's a Meadowville guy. He's not going to rip you off because he lives close by. You know where he lives. Honest, passionate, and he's doing great work. So he saw that I was doing this on the Nextdoor app, and he decided that he's going to pop in and say hello. So we sat down in Buca Moringa, had a bit of a chat there. I asked some questions about some work, and he's doing good work. So if you can support him, cheer him on, and just be there for our local businesses, much like we were doing in Buca with service-oriented businesses and the like. So cheering for y'all. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.